Beverly Hills is the symbol of a certain American dream. Quiet gates, quiet power, and money that never needs to shout. For decades, the faces behind those gates felt predictable. Not anymore. A new wave of Filipina success has been climbing into the same luxury corridors, not just through fame, but through ownership. Designers who dress the Oscars, founders who built billion-dollar platforms, operators who can walk into the toughest boardrooms and leave with control. This isn't a perfect scoreboard of net worth. It's a high-stakes tour of Filipina women whose influence and wealth now touch America's luxury ecosystem, from Hollywood to high fashion to tech. And at the top, the real power isn't always the loudest. Number 10. Liza Soberano, the crossover asset. We begin our ascent with a name that defined Philippine entertainment for a decade, but is now betting everything on the American dream. Liza Soberano is the archetype of the modern crossover star, a woman who realized that in the digital age, geography is not a limit, but leverage. Born in California and raised to superstardom in Manila, Liza's initial fortune was built on the classic, high-volume machinery of the Philippine love team economy. To understand her wealth, you must understand this unique market mechanism. In the Philippines, a love team isn't just a cast pairing, it is a multimedia franchise. Blockbuster films, primetime dramas, and a face that could sell anything from toothpaste to banking apps secured her a net worth in the multi-millions early in her 20s. But her placement on this list is driven by her strategic pivot back to the United States. While most actresses are content to reign as local queens, collecting steady paychecks in pesos, Liza saw the ceiling and decided to break it. Her move to Los Angeles wasn't a whim. It was a calculated business restructuring. She effectively dissolved her local brand to rebuild a global one. By signing with U.S. management and debuting in Hollywood productions like Lisa Frankenstein, she began converting her currency from peso fame to dollar equity. This is the most dangerous maneuver in entertainment, the crossover. But Liza is playing it with financial sophistication. Liza's wealth portfolio is surprisingly complex. She is no longer just talent. She is a strategic investor. During her transition, she began exploring investments in the fintech space, leveraging a social media following of over 18 million people. In the U.S. market, where influence equity is a tradable commodity, Liza arrives with a built-in empire. When she partners with a fintech giant like Maya, it isn't a simple endorsement deal. It is a signal to the market that she commands the attention of the next generation of consumers. She navigates the Los Angeles circuit with the polish of a veteran, attending premieres and fashion galas not just as a guest, but as a brand ambassador with global reach. Her lifestyle reflects this duality. A foot in Manila's elite circles and a new life in the Hollywood Hills. She represents the new wave of Filipina wealth, young, liquid, and unafraid to trade a crown at home for a shot at the throne in America. Number 9. Heart Evangelista, the global fashion currency. If Liza represents the potential of Hollywood, our next entry represents the established power of global fashion. Heart Evangelista may not reside in Beverly Hills full-time, but she is a citizen of its economy. She is the woman who turned getting dressed into a multinational revenue stream. Heart's wealth is a masterclass in modern branding. She is not just an actress or a socialite, she is a global key opinion leader. In the rarefied air of haute couture, from Paris to Milan to New York, Heart is a paid professional. Her invitations to Fashion Week aren't perks, they are business transactions. Let's break down the financials of a front row seat. When Heart attends a show for Dior, Chanel, or Yves Saint Laurent, her presence generates what analysts call media impact value, MIV. This is a metric that quantifies the monetary value of marketing buzz. Heart consistently ranks in the top tier globally, often generating millions of dollars in MIV for these brands per season. In exchange, she commands fees and partnerships that rival top Western supermodels. Her financial footprint in the West is substantial. She spends a significant portion of her year in the luxury corridors of the US and Europe, staying in penthouse suites and collaborating with American designers. Unlike traditional celebrities who rely on a studio paycheck, Heart's income is diversified across art, luxury retail, and digital media. Her paintings, Intricate, soulful works, often featuring melancholic women, sell for thousands of dollars to collectors in the US and Asia, adding a layer of high art credibility to her portfolio. But it is her spending power that aligns her with the Beverly Hills elite. Hart is a collector of investment-grade luxury. We are not just talking about expensive bags, we are talking about assets. She owns Himalayan Birkin bags, crafted from Niloticus crocodile and dyed to resemble the snowy peaks of the Himalayas, often finished with diamond-encrusted hardware. These bags trade on the secondary market for the price of a small house, often exceeding $200,000. She understands that in the world of the ultra-wealthy, visibility is currency. By constantly positioning herself next to the biggest names in Western fashion, she has effectively imported her stardom, proving that a Filipina aesthetic can command a global premium. Number 8. Vanessa Hudgens, the franchise royalty. Moving firmly into the Hollywood zip codes, we find a woman who cracked the code of the American entertainment industry the old-fashioned way, through a massive, generation-defining franchise. Vanessa Hudgens is the ultimate success story of the Filipino-American diaspora in California. Born in Salinas to a Filipina mother, Vanessa didn't just become an actress, she became a Disney annuity. Her role in High School Musical did more than put her on a lunchbox. It integrated her into a franchise that continues to pay dividends nearly 2 decades later. In Hollywood, staying power is the bedrock of real wealth. With a net worth estimated between $18 and $22 million, Vanessa has managed her transition from teen idol to adult star with impressive financial discipline. She didn't blow her Disney checks on scandals, she diversified. She expanded into real estate, buying and flipping multi-million-dollar homes in the Los Angeles area. Vanessa's real estate strategy is notably sharp. She has bought and sold properties in Studio City and Los Feliz, often focusing on historic architecture, like Georgian colonials or Mediterranean revivals. She renovates them with a modern, wellness aesthetic and sells them for a significant markup. This requires liquid capital and a keen eye for market timing. She also invested in lifestyle brands, skincare partnerships, and wellness companies like No Beauty, pivoting her image from cute girl next door to wellness mogul. Her lifestyle is the epitome of the Los Angeles dream. She is a fixture at Coachella, a front-row regular at New York Fashion Week, and a homeowner in some of California's most desirable neighborhoods. But what makes her story compelling is her embrace of her heritage. As she matured, Vanessa became a vocal representative of the Filipino-American community, using her mainstream platform to normalize Filipino features and stories in a predominantly white industry. She proved that you can start as a mouseketeer and end up as a mogul. Number 7. Lea Salonga, the Broadway and Disney Empire. If Beverly Hills had a soundtrack, the voice of our next entry would be on it. Lea Salonga is not just a singer, she is a piece of intellectual property that helped build the modern Disney empire. Lea's wealth architecture is one of the most fascinating on this list because it is built on the global touring economy. As the singing voice of Princess Jasmine in Aladdin and Mulan in Mulan, she is tethered to 2 of the most profitable franchises in cinema history. While voice actors from that era typically received flat fees rather than perpetual royalties, the association with these characters is a goldmine that Lea has mined masterfully. She effectively owns the Disney Princess brand in the live performance space. Every time she books a concert, that Disney connection allows her to command premium ticket prices. This is the kind of active income that builds generational security. Lea didn't stop at Disney. She conquered Broadway, and in the theater world, she is a titan. From Miss Saigon to Les Miserables, and more recently Here Lies Love, she commands top-tier salaries that only a handful of performers on Earth can request. Her ability to sell out concert halls from Carnegie Hall to the Sydney Opera House means she is a walking economy. She doesn't need a cast, she just needs a microphone. Touring revenue is notoriously high margin for solo acts, low overhead, high ticket prices, and instant liquidity. Her connection to the US is deep. She spent years living in New York and Los Angeles, raising her daughter in the States while performing in the country's most prestigious venues. Public sources frequently estimate her net worth in the $20 million range, but the cultural capital she holds is priceless. She is the gold standard for Filipino talent, the woman who proved that a girl from Manila could go to the West End and Broadway and not just participate but dominate. Number 6. Sharon Cuneta, the billionaire with the Calabasas keys. At number 6, we have a woman whose wealth is so vast it crosses oceans without losing a single peso of value. Sharon Cuneta is known as the megastar of the Philippines, but her real estate portfolio reveals a savvy American investor who plays in the big leagues. Sharon is widely considered the wealthiest celebrity in the Philippines, with a net worth estimated in the billions of pesos. But her financial story has a significant American chapter. Sharon is a veteran of the U.S. luxury real estate market. She famously owned a sprawling mansion in Calabasas, California, the same gated community that houses the Kardashians and Hollywood's elite. This wasn't a vacation condo. It was a 6,600 square foot estate featuring a chef's kitchen, a library, and resort-style grounds. She sold it for over 2 million years ago, proving she knows how to park capital in stable, high-value assets. Her ability to buy and sell trophy properties in the U.S. demonstrates a level of liquidity that few entertainers possess. Buying U.S. real estate as a foreign national often requires cash purchases or complex financing. Sharon handles it with ease. She understands that while fame is local, real estate is global. Sharon's wealth is institutional. It comes from a mix of record-breaking entertainment contracts, inheritance from a powerful political dynasty, and a lifetime of accumulating hard assets like diamonds and land. When she travels to the U.S., she doesn't just visit. She brings an entire entourage, living with the ease of someone who could buy the hotel if she wanted to. She represents the old money tier of the list, wealth that is confident, established, and utterly borderless. Number 5. Monique Lhuillier, the red carpet architect. Now, we enter the true heart of Beverly Hills. If you have watched a red carpet event in the last 20 years, you have seen the work of Monique Lhuillier. She is the woman who dresses the women that everyone else wants to be. Monique's story is the perfect fusion of Filipino heritage and American ambition. Born in Cebu to a wealthy family, she could have easily lived a life of leisure. Instead, she moved to Los Angeles and enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. What started as a bridal business in 1996 exploded into a global luxury house when Britney Spears wore one of her designs to her wedding. That moment was the catalyst, but the longevity is due to business acumen. Today, Monique Lhuillier is a household name in the 902 zip code. She is the go-to designer for Reese Witherspoon, Taylor Swift, Blake Lively, and former First Lady Michelle Obama. Her wealth comes from a brand that has scaled horizontally. She doesn't just sell five-figure gowns. She sells a lifestyle. Her empire now includes fine jewelry, home decor, fragrances, and a ready-to-wear line that is stocked in the most exclusive department stores in the world, from Neiman Marcus to Saks Fifth Avenue. Her headquarters in Los Angeles is a testament to her success, housing design studios and showrooms that cater to the city's elite. Monique lives the life she sells, impeccable, elegant, and quietly powerful. She proves that a Filipina can not only enter the exclusive world of high fashion, but can sit at the head of the table. She didn't just crack the American market, she redesigned it in lace and silk. Number 4. Josie Natori, the Wall Street fashion mogul. Before Monique Lhuillier was dressing brides, Josie Natori was rewriting the rules of corporate America. Josie is a legend because she conquered two of the most hostile environments for women, Wall Street in the 70s and the global fashion industry in the 80s. Josie's journey began in Manila, but her fortune was forged in New York. She became one of the first female vice presidents of investment banking at Merrill Lynch, a massive achievement in an era dominated by the old boys club. But Josie had a vision that extended beyond stocks and bonds. She left Wall Street to launch the Natori Company, betting everything on a simple idea: bringing the artistry of the Philippines to the luxury bedrooms of America. It worked. By turning the traditional Filipino embroidered blouse into high-end lingerie, she created a bridge category that she has dominated for 40 years. Today, Natori is a lifestyle empire generating massive annual revenues. Her wealth allows her to live a life of bi-coastal luxury, splitting her time between a stunning apartment in New York and a getaway in Palm Beach. She proved that the skills you learn in finance, risk assessment, leverage, and negotiation are the same tools you need to build a creative dynasty. If you want to understand the mindset that allowed her to pivot from banking to billions, I've tagged her recommended biography right here on the screen. It is a blueprint for reinvention. Josie's genius was in vertical integration. Unlike many designers who outsource everything, she built a factory in the Philippines, employing hundreds of artisans. This allowed her to control her quality and her margins, keeping the wealth within her company and her community. She is the bridge between the boardroom and the runway. Number 3. Sheila Lirio Marcelo, the tech IPO pioneer. From fashion, we pivot to the engine of modern wealth, technology. Sheila Lirio Marcelo is a woman who saw a universal problem, childcare, and built a digital solution that made her one of the wealthiest Filipinas in tech history. Sheila's story is pure Silicon Valley, but with a heart. A graduate of Harvard Law and Harvard Business School, she founded Care.com in 2006 after struggling to find help for her own family. She didn't just build a website, she built a marketplace that operates in over 20 countries. In 2014, she took the company public, becoming one of the very few Filipino women to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. This moment, the IPO, is the holy grail of startup founders. When Care.com was acquired by IAC in 2020, the deal was valued at nearly $500 million. While she didn't pocket that entire sum, her equity stake as founder and CEO secured her a fortune in the 9-figure range. This is exit wealth, the kind of liquidity event that turns a founder into a tycoon overnight. But Sheila didn't retire to a private island. She is an active venture capitalist, investing in the next generation of startups through her new ventures like Proof of Learn. She represents the intellectual capital of the Filipino diaspora. She didn't need to sing, act, or design to make her fortune. She just needed to code a better future. Her wealth is a reminder that the biggest opportunities in America are often hidden in the problems that everyday families face. Number 2. Loida Nicolas Lewis, the corporate empress. If there is a woman on this list whose life reads like a movie script, it is Loida Nicolas Lewis. She is the grand dame of Filipino-American wealth, a woman who inherited a crisis and turned it into a billion-dollar victory. Loida was a lawyer by trade, the first Filipina to pass the New York bar without studying law in the U.S. She was married to Reginald F. Lewis, the first African-American billionaire, and the titan behind TLC Beatrice International. When Reginald passed away suddenly in 1993, Wall Street expected the company to crumble. They expected the grieving widow to sell off the assets and fade away. The vultures were circling, anticipating a fire sale. Loida had other plans. She stepped in as chair and CEO of a $2.2 billion multinational food conglomerate. She didn't just keep the lights on, she cut costs, restructured operations, and sold the company in 1999 for a massive profit. By maximizing the shareholder value, she delivered huge returns to investors and secured her own family's fortune, which is estimated in the hundreds of millions. Her wealth today is vast and diversified, spanning investments, real estate in New York and the Hamptons, and philanthropy. She is a kingmaker in the Filipino-American community, funding political campaigns and legal battles for immigrant rights. Loida proves that a Filipina can walk into the toughest boardrooms in New York, stare down the doubters, and walk out with the check. Number 1. Susan Ocampo, the secret Silicon Valley billionaire. And finally, we arrive at number 1. The richest woman on our list is someone you have likely never seen on a magazine cover. She doesn't walk red carpets, she doesn't post on Instagram, but she owns a piece of the technology that powers the modern world. Meet Susan Ocampo, the crown jewel of Silicon Valley. Susan's story is the pinnacle of the immigrant hustle. She arrived in the U.S. and co-founded a semiconductor company called Sirenza Microdevices in the 1980s. While others were chasing software, Susan and her husband focused on hardware, the actual chips and components that make the internet age possible. As the CFO, She steered the company through the boom and bust cycles of tech, eventually leading it to a public offering. But the semiconductor industry is about consolidation. The real explosion of wealth came through acquisition and reinvestment. When Sirenza was sold, Susan didn't stop. She became a major investor and executive in Macom Technology Solutions, a giant in the semiconductor space that specializes in radio frequency, microwave, and millimeter wave technologies. These are the invisible highways that data travels on. Today, thanks to her massive equity stake in the company, her net worth is frequently estimated at over $2 billion by major financial trackers. Let that sink in. $2 billion. This is wealth that dwarfs the combined fortunes of every actress and fashion designer we have mentioned. Susan Ocampo lives in the quiet, leafy enclaves of Silicon Valley, far from the paparazzi of Beverly Hills, but her spending power is unmatched. She could buy the studio that hires the actresses. She could buy the mall that stocks the designers. She represents the ultimate achievement, stealth wealth. She proves that you don't need to be famous to be powerful. In a world of noise, Susan Ocampo is the signal, a reminder that the richest person in the room is usually the one who built the room itself. From red carpets to boardrooms, these women prove the same truth. Visibility can open doors, but ownership keeps them open. Not every fortune here is publicly disclosed, and some numbers are best understood as estimates, but the direction is unmistakable. Filipina talent didn't just enter the American luxury world, it learned how to run it, brand by brand, deal by deal, and in some cases, company by company. Which path impressed you most? The fashion architects, the corporate operators, or the founders who built scalable wealth behind the scenes? Drop your pick in the comments and subscribe to Her Status for more deep dives into elite women, hidden fortunes, and power that moves in silence.